If your business feels smart, busy, optimized, but still won't cross 30K months, there's a good chance that nothing is really wrong. No missing strategy, no fatal flaw, no secret that you somehow missed. What's usually happening is a lot quieter than that. Your business is misaligned. And that misalignment often comes from a few short phrases that usually sound well-intentioned, well-meaning, even responsible, but slowly distort how you show up, how you speak, and who your work actually reaches. The people repeating these phrases usually mean well. They're not trying to sabotage you. They just don't see what these ideas do to your content, your sales, and your marketing over time. And if your business feels intelligent, effortful, but still capped, there's a high chance that your entire approach is built on one of these. I'll break each one down the same way. What the phrase sounds like, what it quietly causes you to do, and what alignment actually looks like instead. Let's start with the first one. You have to shift people's beliefs in order for them to work with you. This was taught to me earlier on. I built a lot of my content strategy around this. Belief shifting content. Content designed to convince people that they're wrong. Content designed to take people from skepticism into agreement. On the surface, it sounds responsible, but here's the misalignment that it creates. The moment you think you have to shift someone's belief, your content goes from recognition to persuasion. This is where your post gets saved, nodded at, even praised, but nobody moves, because persuasion creates discussion, whereas recognition creates action. To understand why this fails, you have to understand Eugene Schwartz's levels of buyer sophistication. There are people who don't know they have a problem, know they have a problem and there's a solution, know your solution, and are deciding. When you focus on belief shifting content, you aim your content at the lowest awareness level. You start trying to convince people that what they're doing is wrong and what you're doing is right. And without realizing it, you stop speaking to the people who are ready. You stop revealing truth to decisive buyers and start arguing with people who aren't. This changes your tone. Your content stops feeling like, here's how I work, and starts feeling like, let me explain why you're wrong. Here's a very simple way to see it. Think about your friend who's stuck in that toxic relationship and doesn't think anything is wrong. You explain, you warn, you repeat yourself, but they don't listen. Now think about a friend who just had an intervention and says, I'm seeing a pattern, I want to change, what do you think about it? Same problem, but two completely different perspectives, completely different conversations, completely different levels of readiness. One requires convincing, the other requires clarity. Most high-level buyers are the second type. They don't want to be preached at, they don't want to be shifted, they want to recognize themselves in what you're doing. And this is where belief surfing comes in. Instead of trying to change someone's worldview, you speak to beliefs they already hold. You assume intelligence, you assume agency, you assume readiness. Your content becomes calmer, clearer, and more matter of fact. And this doesn't just change content, it changes sales. When someone has been belief surfed instead of belief shifted, a sales call goes from trying to blow their mind into buying from you to confirming fit, mechanics, and logistics. And in many cases, they don't even need the call, they just buy. So the realignment here is very simple. Stop shifting beliefs. Start surfing the ones that already exist. The second phrase, this is market reality. This one is very subtle, but it quietly misaligns more businesses than you would think. Market reality, market norms, that's just how things work. I heard this constantly when I was building and scaling my AI company, UXIQ. One of my partners had decades of local experience. I had decades of international experience. Every time I questioned pricing, positioning, or approach, the response was the same. This is the market norm. At one point, we were pricing a deal upwards of $500,000, and the argument was, we're not Microsoft, we're not Oracle, so how dare we price like them? Now, my perspective was very different. We weren't pricing based on who we were pricing based on what we were preventing, which was billions of dollars worth of lawsuits and fines to the banking sector. The value wasn't hypothetical, it was concrete. That's when it clicked. There's no objective market reality. There's only perception shaped by exposure. And what people call market norms are usually the limits of their exposure and their experience. And I see this all the time with my clients. Someone asks, what should I charge for sessions? And my questions are almost always the same. What season are you in? Are you trying to maximize margin or maximize capacity? Are you building case studies or protecting capacity? Are you early, scaling, or consolidating? And those answers matter far more than what the market is doing or pricing. I've told clients to undercharge on purpose, to make the offer a no-brainer, to get momentum, retention, and confidence. It's not a worth issue, it's a strategy issue. I did the same thing myself. I started out with one-on-one work priced low, filled my schedule, then I launched a program program priced for access, not status. Later, when results and demand were undeniable, prices moved up. Same offer, different season. So if someone's telling you that's just market reality, pause. Because what they're really saying is that's the frame I'm stuck in. Your job isn't to obey the market, it's to understand your phase. And the moment you outsource your judgment to the market, you also outsource your authority. And this brings us to phrase 3. We are in a trust recession. This one gets thrown around constantly and is usually used to scare you into doing or buying things that do not feel aligned. Over-nurture, over-explain, overgive, delay asking. Here's the truth. There is no trust recession for people who are trustworthy. What people don't trust are faceless, aggressive, dopamine-driven tactics. Cold promises with no presence, anonymous offers with no substance. That's where trust breakdown exists. If you have a personal brand, if your values are visible, if your work is consistent, and if your message sounds like you, trust is not the bottleneck. In fact, if someone has watched the video this far, trust already exists. And if trust exists for you, it can exist for them. The real misalignment happens when people outsource their values to what they think the market wants. They build a brand that looks good on paper but feels hollow in practice. And people sense that immediately. So instead of reacting to the idea of a trust recession, do this instead. Double down on who you actually are. Let your values show without performing them. Speak plainly. Don't manipulate timing, fear, or pressure. Because trust isn't manufactured, it's revealed through consistency. So let's bring this together. Your business isn't broken, it's misaligned. You realign by stopping the urge to shift people's beliefs, operate from your season, not borrowed market frames, and letting trust come from consistency, not tactics. Most of what people are told to do right now in business actually works against alignment. Clarity beats convincing, seasons beat comparison, integrity beats tactics. That's it for this one. See you in the next one.